Aching, sore throat, fever, just for kids, medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Bringing humor, insight, and a voice of reason. Hey, it's Rick. Join me for the Rick Burgess Show on WGNS, weekdays 11 till 2.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show with your host, Rick and Wayne. Come to you every Tuesday here at WGNS. And Mr. Wayne, how are you, buddy?
Fine. Good morning. I'm about thawed out.
Till this weekend.
Yeah. I think a real cold blast is coming in this weekend, right?
Yeah. I think it's going to rain. I think Scott will get into that the next hour. I said Scott, but
in my backyard, there's still some snow, and my dad used to say that snow like that was waiting around for another snow.
Yes.
So they could greet it.
We still had a little bit. My neighbor found out. I was pitching. I went to check my mail last night, and they come out to get theirs. Their daughter did, and I got her good. It was a good one. So
it's going to be 28 degrees for a high on Monday.
Woo,
oh,
ouch.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow, it's going to be tough. Winding down to the Super Bowl and the national championship. So we got football a little while longer, but I saw that the USFL, I think they start in March. So that would be the other semi-pro or farm league, if you will. So, but the collegiate programs now have become farm leagues, I guess, as well.
They sure have.
With all the pay-for-play.
I was happy. I'm a motocross guy, so the SMX started 25. They were in Anaheim. That started Saturday. And, of course, we had, the basketball stuff going on with UT finally losing one and then winning a close one with Texas. So it's
I think Coach Barnes loves to beat Texas.
He sure does. So, well, it's funny. They showed all the banners in there, and his name was on about 3/4 of them. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Rick, great to see you this morning, and I'm really excited about our show. A good friend of both you and me, Mr. Scott Broden, senior correspondent for the Daily News Journal. You, as a former detective and commissioner, and me with the school board and commission, we had several encounters with Mr. Broden over the years. And Scott, welcome, and we're pleased to have you this morning. Thank you.
Glad to be here. I've worked with many coworkers, at least 2 or 3 that I can think of, that have taken their turn being on the WGNS radio. Milan Ragland and Monty Hale, and maybe a few others.
Monty Hale, I hadn't heard his name in a little while.
Yeah, we we're closing in on 3 years of guests, and we've had a few that have been with us, at least a couple of times or more, and but for the most part, it's just been different personalities and community leaders and people that have been instrumental in in being a part of the community. And you've certainly been here and been involved. You've covered some big stories here in Rutherford County. Rick and I always try to get our guests to talk about themselves and maybe their family, their career journey, here in the first segment.
All right, what would you like to know?
Well, you can say where you grew up and, talk about family and siblings and spouse and children. I know that you're a recently new grandfather, which is always a hoot.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Her name, she's born October 17th. Stella Blair is what the name my daughter-in-law, Sam, who went to Oakland High School and MTSU, is what she wanted to call her daughter. And Silas, my son, very proud to be parents, and they're living in Clarksville, and they're teachers.
Great choice of a name, Blair.
Let's wait for that.
That did not escape me.
They teach in Cheatham County at different high schools. My son and his wife, and he went to Central Magnet School before they both met through being MTSU students. And my other son, Zane, he also went to Central Magnet School, and then he went to University of Tennessee, where he met his wife. And she is working on getting a doctorate degree in microbiology at the University of Virginia. And Zane, he's teaching right now. He teaches Algebra 2, and he's in his third year teaching that subject. And he also is the assistant tennis coach at it's called Albemarle High School in Chattanooga. So, and my wife works at MTSU. She's a copy editor.
I did not know that.
She had been a copy editor for several years at the Tennessean, and now she's at MTSU.
Okay.
And I grew up. You asked where I grew up. My first 2 years, I don't have many memories. Zero memories from living in Vienna, Virginia, outside of Washington D.C. And but my dad got a job opportunity in the Chicago area, moved us to a suburb, Barrington, Illinois, and I spent 16 years there. So mostly, I guess, childhood years were in Illinois. And forgive me, I still cheer for the Bears, even though they stink, or
The Bears.
the
The
Cubs.
Bears, yeah.
And although I do pull for the Titans here and there, as long as they're not playing the Bears. and my parents, my dad moved us to Florida just before my final year of high school. So I lived roughly about 12 years in Florida, and that's where I graduated from high school.
What
And
part?
Bradenton, Florida. I went
Yeah.
to Manatee High School, and I got a varsity letter in wrestling and graduated and went to junior college and finished my college at University of Central Florida. I was a journalism major. I was doing some freelance work for a paper in Sarasota, which is right next door to Bradenton, and my wife at the time was working there full time as a copy editor, and here we are today.
So what about siblings?
I've got three surviving siblings. One's in Bradenton, my youngest brother. I saw him in December, drove down to see him and a couple good friends, and Robert. And then I've got sisters who stayed in the Midwest. One's in Ohio, Loveland, Ohio, and she's planning to come visit me this weekend with her boyfriend and my family. And then I've got another sister living in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. Pam is her name. So it's Pam and Barb and Robert. And then my oldest brother, he had lung cancer. He died with lung cancer in 2018. And my younger brother inherited my older brother's business, which started in 1985, and it's called Bruce's Taxi. It's a cab business. So he's doing well. He's keeping the cab business going, and it's profitable. And so I'm proud that my younger brother kept the business going, and proud that my older brother built that business. So, and then my parents, my mom died in 2018, my dad died in 2010, and pretty much that covers it, I think, family-wise. So.
Well, when I first met you, I guess maybe almost 20 years ago, it was pretty clear to me that you were not from around here. So
I've lived in different states, but go on.
So what drew you to journalism? I
took a class in Introduction to Journalism as a senior in Bradenton at Manatee High School, and then for a while I kind of was like, got too big of a head after high school. I thought, well, I want to be one of the famous people that reporters write about. But then in junior college years, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with myself? And one thing I like to do, I read sports stories a lot. I like to read sports sections, and I'm not a particularly good athlete, but I like sports. So I thought maybe I could be a sports writer. So when I transferred to the University of Central Florida in Orlando, I decided to be a major in journalism, and I did do a lot of sports writing. I've even done, it's been 20 years plus, but I even did a little bit of sports writing, even for the Daily News Journal, like, maybe cover a little bit like a high school game, football or basketball game, not the ones that were like the top games like, Riverdale versus Oakland kind of thing, but, some of the other games like Cannon County or Eagleville. Well, no, Eagleville may not have had a football team yet, but some of the other schools that needed coverage, but maybe the top prep writer would be covering the bigger games. So.
I was also always fascinated by your note taking, because I'd peek over your shoulder from time to time, and it looked like a physician's writing. I don't know how you.
Chicken scratch.
Well, I was going to say, it looked, not to offend you, but it looked a little bit like chicken scratch a little bit. I guess it's shorthand.
I'm not brilliant like medical doctors. I have messy handwriting. And my running gag that I tell people when they ask me, can you read that, is no, but when I get back to the newsroom, I'll just make it up.
Make it up.
Okay, I would not have said that.
I usually, I know what I wrote.
Sure.
I know what I wrote.
Recall.
And,
yeah. And we know that was a joke, so that's fine.
If it got so messy, I might say, all right, I might paraphrase them. I don't, because my handwriting's so messy on that one page of notes. I'll just paraphrase them because I know what the source said, what their position is.
You called me several times over the years to say, "Hey, did I get this right?" I
like to do that, yes.
And so I did appreciate that you were willing to make sure that you quoted me accurately, and I was always grateful for that.
I like to do that. In fact, the school board had a meeting. And I called, board members, and I called other people at the meeting who I interviewed, and I double checked, and I like to do that whenever I can, because it's so easy to get communication to get it mixed up.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's misspelling Rick's name back several years ago when he was a detective.
He was a commissioner.
I was on the commission.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Were you a commissioner when he did that?
I think it was during a Bible park. I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember what it was over.
I was doing a story about mainly focused on Rogers and being a chairman of property management or something like that.
I was the property.
And I mentioned the different people on the different committees, and somehow I messed up a letter. Maybe one letter, I don't remember how many letters, but in your name, and you let me know. And I tell you what, early on in my career, as a college student still, I remember a sports editor saying, you've got to get, the name is so critical. I mean, when you were charging someone, you got to get the name absolutely correct.
Sure.
Because especially a common name, you can't have a John Smith, because there may be lots of John Smiths. Like, well, now I've got everyone in my neighborhood and my place of work thinking I did that, and I didn't do that. So,
well, we're still only human. I mean, what I hate, Rick, is the autocorrect. If I'm trying to do an email or a text, that'll get me every time.
Well, I admitted before the show, I'd sent an email yesterday, and of course I'm in insurance, and I wrote that it was an all perils policy with a deductible of $1,000, and the perils auto worded to pearls, so it was an all pearls deductible of $1,000. So it just happens. So
I've learned the hard way that when you use autocorrect for spelling, you need to look carefully at the list.
Reread,
and you may need to copy the word and do a Google search. Webster's is that the word I'm looking for, and look at the definition. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. No, it's not the word.
Were you disappointed that neither one of the boys followed in y'all's footsteps with print media?
No, my wife and I want them to do whatever they feel is their calling. And journalism, it can be a tough field to work in. So, you can write a story that's 100% correct and fair to all sides, but you still might have people disappointed because you didn't take enough of their side. So it can be a tough. Well, like a police officer, you protect people, you make life and death decisions, which is bigger than a journalist. But yet you can still have people that hate your guts, which is sad.
Well, you always do. But I had Lisa Marchoni. She used to be a D&J reporter before you came.
Great coworker. Yes.
And there was days when I was on patrol when I first started. I had a unfortunate nose for finding trouble. So I was making some arrests, some high speed chases and big drug arrests and things like that. So it wanted to be covered by the local paper. Well, of course, I'd been trained in a way to write my police reports in a certain way. So then when I was asked a question, I just basically recited from memory what I put in a police report. And then Lisa would go, well, okay, you've said that, but here's how we're going to clean that up and we're going to make it sound like this. And she would write the report, and it just sounded so much better. And it taught me later to be able to, through when I went on to be a detective and, unfortunately got the Captain D's murders that happened, and we were doing constant, and I learned the whole thing about hooks. You got to have a hook to a story to get you from writing some kind of short story in print about it to a longer story in print about it. And what details I might provide you was that hook that you could be able to use to give me more time, and it be on the 5 o'clock news or in the newspaper. We had to be able to have a two-way street that we could work together, that, hey, even come down to, I don't know, what year did you come here?
I got hired in September 1999 by the executive editor was Mike Pirtle at the time.
So within a year, the Captain D's murders happened. And if you remember, we did America's Most Wanted, and I gave hooks to America's Most Wanted, but everybody else felt slighted from that. So I called all you guys in. I gave y'all a printout of what it was, and you were able to take that, go back, write your story ahead of time, and then everybody released at the same time, because I had a team of investigators that were going to take whatever leads came in. So if you gave it out early or somebody else gave it out early, then I didn't have that team in place to take those phone calls. And it was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my whole life, is to try to keep everybody happy to release it at the same time, because the rumor mills would start that says Channel 4 said the G&J is going to release it tomorrow and we're going to go ahead because we want to get ahead of it. And, well, it's not fair. 17's got the head of this. So I learned to have relationships, which carried on to the county commission, that I already had a rapport with you and knew who you are. And I was chairman of property management. I think and we had some crucial things through my short 4 years of the commission. We had the Bible Park come through. We had the whole Islamic center that came in out there.
The Planning Commission approved the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro to get a new building.
Right. And that was huge things that were happening in the mid-2000s, if you remember, and it got reported on a whole lot. And
getting international attention on some of those, especially the Islamic Center. I met reporters covering the hearing from Sweden and Germany that came in to cover that hearing.
That's right.
Before Chancellor Corlew. Someone teased me. Have you ever had John L. Beatty on the show?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
I was in the courtroom to cover the hearing, and one of the local TV anchors is like, and there was lots of people, against the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro, filling up the courtroom, and the camera zoomed in on my face. I'm there as a reporter.
You're that guy.
And John L. Beatty told me he witnessed that on the TV news. And I'm like,
that is so. Coming from Chicago down to
Chicago area. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just being a little silly there, but moving to Florida. Huge cultural shock for you? Or
the winters were.
It was fine.
The winters were a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, yes.
It was fine. I mean, I think one adjustment I had to make, it was not even a guy from, a lot of coastal Florida, the accents are not really thick, because you have people from all over the place that live there. Mm-hmm. In fact, you might even possibly encounter more northern accents, but you can encounter all kinds of accents from Florida, coastal Florida areas and the bigger cities like Orlando, Gainesville. But I remember meeting a guy, he must have been from the Appalachian region of Tennessee, because he...
Watch out now.
Are you from that part?
No, but I suspect we have a few in the area. So
he was. I asked him what before the start of classes, and we were weight training in the weight training area of the school, Manatee High School, and what classes are you taking? And he mentioned the usual stuff, like whatever algebra or English, but then he also said topping. And I'm like, topping? What's that? He said, Typing.
Typing.
And
That's great.
But yes, that did throw me. I wasn't, used
Sure.
to in East Tennessee, like especially like in the mountain areas, they probably a much thicker accent. But I work with Mark Bell. He's from that part of Appalachian region, and but I understood Mark pretty good. So, but I worked with Mark Bell for a few years at the Daily News Journal.
So, a lot of changes over the last several years with print media, and I suspect that continues to be a struggle.
Yeah, it's so many people can get their news online or social, so all kinds of social media. The Joe Rogan show. I mean, there's so many ways people can get their news. So in the newspaper industry, we're having to figure out how to hang in there and stay at it. But I just try to, I figured somebody needs to be a news reporter about this growing Rutherford County, and Rick saw me in Smyrna last week at the celebration of the new fire station.
That's right.
State Fire Station 4, right by a area that may grow quite a bit, right off 840 by Smyrna Ready Mix, real close to Smyrna Ready Mix headquarters, and someone's got to let people know what's going on with the schools or growth and development, and so I figure that's what I got to do and keep doing it, and I still have readers that read me. So, and Monty, I mentioned Monty, the sports writer, but Monty must know Cecil Joyce, who also lives in Smyrna.
He does.
and Cecil, fantastic sports writer, covered mostly high school and MTSU, and a great sports writer. And then Helen Comer grew up in Rutherford County, phenomenal photographer. She went to Riverdale High School. Her mom taught at Walter Hill School back when her mom was the teacher for Jimmy Sullivan, the director of schools at Walter Hill, and but phenomenal photographer. So I'm honored to team up with Cecil and Helen to chase stories and let people know what's going on. So,
See, and I hate that our kids, because like you said, it's the world's changed some, but I know I have printouts and cover the D&J and the Tennessean and things of stuff I've been involved in, and in my own agency. Our founding owner Dub has got a printout that he did that the Tennessean did a story of when he was part of the National Guard, and I was able to contact y'all, and
I
you were
think I
able
wrote
to,
that, but go on.
you know what I'm talking about. But you got that, you were able to get me a print copy of that, and we got that done, and it's framed and it's beautiful on the wall.
I was honored to meet him and listen to
Amazing
him,
story. Yeah,
being part of that whole conflict in Selma with the march
Right.
led by Martin Luther King's civil rights ministry, marching over that bridge for voter rights. That's sort of advocacy and civil rights, but I was on him sharing his experiences of being sent there by the president to keep the peace.
that's right. And the walk was so long; it was several days that you get into in the story that I don't think are little. If you don't really study the story, you really don't understand that. But they were tasked with walking and spending the night, on the side of the streets, basically, with everybody to protect them. So that went on peacefully. And but I appreciate that. But I think we're losing that because we're not going to have newspaper articles. I still in my garage have from 1998, the last national championship that Tennessee won in football. I have that Tennessean up on the wall, and it's turned yellow and everything else. But I love it. I think it's fascinating to
Should have
that.
laminated it.
You're right. I should have, but I didn't, and I know better now. But I probably ought to do some of my own stuff that way, just for my daughter. I don't know if she'll care, but
a lot of people. The print edition can still have it needs to be done right, but it can still have a power to see it.
Amazing
and you hold
power.
it, and you not just stare at a online version of a story.
Yeah, I'm doing somebody recommended a book to me, but with my busyness, I don't ever have time to really sit down in front of a chair and read a book. I just don't. But the audiobooks is my outlet, and I feel like it's cheating in some way. And it's about the Biltmore, and I'm wanting to go to the Biltmore, so I'm listening to the backstory on
Is it the author doing the audio, or is it?
It's somebody they've paid because they were coming in with accents and everything else, but I'm listening to it, and I feel like I'm cheating myself a little bit, but that's when my time crunches of driving around like I do on the road. It's easier to do.
When I read books, I still want to hold it. I'm not reading anything on a tablet. I want to hold the book and read it that way.
Yeah.
So my best memories are getting the Sunday paper before church and pouring through the sports pages first, and then the rest of it, the front page and the local section, and then going to worship. It just seemed like the progression of the day. Get up, go get the paper, drink your coffee, maybe eat a little breakfast, get ready for church, and but that got you going for worship. You'd already opened your mind because of the sports section and the rest of the print media.
And my parents with the crossword puzzles, and there used to be 2 papers that got delivered a day. We had a morning and an afternoon edition. Football, when I grew up, we would come up to the D&J in Murfreesboro, and y'all had leftover paper that would run through the things, and it would be the end of the roll, and it would be, let's say, 50 or 100 feet where they wouldn't put that back on, and you could go up and get it, and then that's what we made our signs that you ran through at the football games.
No kidding.
That's all things that today kids don't have any part of.
Wow.
And the media and the newspaper industry is those are fond memories I have, and that I wish could live on through our kids, and it just doesn't in today's world.
You have to learn to adapt too, because I record a lot of videos. Last week I talked to
Mary Esther.
I wanted my own video, and not just the side shot of her talking on TV. So I interviewed her, talking about the importance of that brand new fire station that opened in Smyrna.
Yep.
And I decided, we were in a quiet classroom. I almost wish I went ahead and interviewed her in the garage, but it was so noisy there. But it needed something, so I actually something that Gannett has a arrangement with. It's called Watch It. But I decided it needs a little music, so I added just a little bit of music while she was talking, just to break the silence of being in a training classroom at the fire station.
Metallica was in the background?
Something like that.
I don't remember what her favorite band was. Cecil, when he covered sports for the D&J a long time ago, and because he came back to the D&J in 5-6 years ago, but he was at the D&J even before I got hired, the Daily News Journal. But Cecil remembers covering a Smyrna High School football game where Mary Esther Reed was the homecoming queen.
Okay.
That's true.
Well, there you go.
1989, class of 89.
Yeah,
that's a big fight with Wayne and
I.
Mary Esther and I and several others graduated all in 89. And
were you there in 89? Say thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
I know he spent 1 or 2 years where I take my recycling materials, or some people call it the Almaville dump.
Well, it was my second grade year was at Almaville, and my first grade was at Seminary Elementary. So both of those
Seminary and Almaville Road.
It's been a minute.
It has. You're listening to the man behind the pen, Scott Broden. He's a senior correspondent with the D&J. But we're going to take our...
I do have a pen.
Yes, I knew you would. We're going to take our first break and be right back with you in just a minute.
Chip Walters here with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. I was named a top 10 agent in the #1 Exit Realty office in America in 2021. The top question I get around town, how's the market? Good question. And the answer's changed a few times this year alone. I'd like to know what you've heard and share some solid data we have. Give me a call and let's have a cup of coffee and take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. All my contact info is right on my website, choosechip.net. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
The city of Murfreesboro is growing, and we need your help to prove it. This is Mayor Shane McFarland, and participating in the special census helps ensure we get the funding we deserve for essential services like road paving, sidewalks, and parks. It's easy. Just visit murfreesborocensus.com, fill out the secure form, or complete the special census letter coming to your mailbox. Remember, every person counts.
Count me in.
Okay, count me in.
And count me in too.
Let's make sure Murfreesboro gets its true share. Complete the special census today.
Hi, this is Trevor from Bell Jewelers. We have 4 graduate gemologists, including myself at Bell Jewelers. That gives us the ability to appraise jewelry and give educational information. And we offer to buy customers' jewelry. We can give you a trade offer or a check. Did you realize Bell Jewelers has 2 master goldsmiths, giving us the ability to make something custom just for you? It's about as personal as you can get. Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
Looking for something to take your mind off this traffic? How about a true story of instant success? Did you hear about the 2 friends who went grocery shopping in Ashland City and picked up everything on their list plus $75,000? Or the one where a truck driver made a last-minute stop off Interstate 40 and drove off with a cool $1 million? All their lives changed in an instant, and yours could too. So stop by your local retailer for your chance with instant games from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing, life-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the Law Offices of John Day. For more than 30 years, my team and I have worked hard to help injured people throughout Middle Tennessee. Over that time, we've helped thousands of people get the legal help they need when they've needed it the most. And if we're not able to help or aren't the right lawyer for you, we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. If you've been injured, call the Law Offices of John Day for a free consultation. And remember, there's no fee unless we win your case.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. Let's patronize our local family businesses. Buy one and get one free. That deal wraps up this Sunday from the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department. And that's good for the monthly and yearly passes to SportsCom or the Patterson Community Center. Buy one, get one free. That offer is good through this Sunday night at 5 o'clock. Give the gift of life. Give blood to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is still critically low on blood. Phone the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. There is a free grief support group every Wednesday morning at 10 at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. Oh, don't forget the Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast is this Saturday morning over at the James Union Building at MTSU, 9 until noon this Saturday. And the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. March is next week, Monday, January the 20th, right there at Central Magnet School. And those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see a good deal of sunshine for this afternoon with high temperatures reaching up into the mid-40s. For tonight, partly cloudy, low of 17 degrees. I'm meteorologist Michael Caron, News Radio WGNS. Right now, it's 27.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And certainly been not only our pleasure but also our honor to have senior correspondents for the Daily News Journal, Mr. Scott Broden, and we've found out a lot about your personal life that I didn't know, and maybe we delve off into some of your favorite stories that you penned.
Okay. Sometimes you mentioned history. or you went to Almaville School for a grade.
Right.
The old Almaville School, which is now the fire station community center.
Right.
But just sometimes I love just writing historical stories, like writing about that old tree by the county courthouse.
Yeah, the sycamore.
Yeah, and how it's pretty much dying, but there's Mayor Carr is pursuing a plan to take some branches and one day, I don't know the terminology, grafts or something, but one day they'll be able to, the original tree will be growing 4 different trees on the courthouse grounds, and interviewing the family that was behind the original planting of those trees prior to the Civil War. Or recently I wrote about cemetery school in an African American community real close to the Stones River National Battlefield Cemetery, I didn't even know I was going to be writing that story when I arrived. I thought I was writing about a goal to take a historic home and bring it and renovate it. But then there I am at the school, and there's Vincent Windrow, and the preacher at Olive Branch, who used to be on the Planning Commission and used to be one of the vice provosts at MTSU. But there he is, and his mom went to that school, and interviewing him and others about the importance of that cemetery school. They want to turn it into a museum and a community gathering place to celebrate both the school and the community. It served African American children prior to the desegregation of the school. Sure. So, and I have covered stories that have gotten international attention, where I was among the many reporters right here in Rutherford County. I mean, the controversy that the county planning commission approved the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro to build a bigger place of worship, and there was a group of people that sued the county government for the planning commission for approving that. So I covered that. That got attention from reporters that I met from Germany and Sweden, and CNN wanted to put me on the air, and I decided, no, I need to be on WGNS today. And
this will be your first. This is your first video opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, and I covered when Rick was on the county commission. I also covered the Bible Park USA, which got a lot of attention beyond Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, and it kind of divided the county commission, because you had some people that thought this would be a great, opportunity for economic development and jobs and tax revenues. But then there was other people, especially in the area, kind of in the area real close to where I live, the Blackman community. Some of them were okay with the park, but some of them just didn't want to. They didn't want to see Blackman community kind of like Pigeon Forge. Sure. And so there was a lot of, so I covered that, and the theme park ended up, developers moved on, and ended up, it's hard to explain, but they ended up not quite getting the approval they needed to build it. So, and court cases and followed that and all that, but those are maybe the 2 biggest stories I've ever covered right there: Bible Park USA and the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro. Last year I had to cover a tragedy with the director's son, unfortunately, in a tragedy, losing Asher. I had lots of people reading that story, and Dr. Sullivan was sharing through Facebook, and I definitely wanted to respect his privacy, but he asked people to respect his privacy, and he was sharing what happened to his son, and the grieving, and they're still grieving.
Oh, certainly. I just, it's only through faith, family, and friends that you can endure. I guess endure is probably about as good a word, that kind of tragedy. And that family continues to be in my prayers as well.
He and his wife and his son, older son, they're charging ahead. They're doing well, and they still care and love the boy we lost, the boy they lost, the boy all of us lost ultimately.
Right. It was a county community tragedy, no doubt.
So we'll bring up a couple of those. So like the Islamic Center, and you're getting calls like you're saying, you're getting calls from all around the world that are wanting to cover that and calling and I guess seeing what you've wrote, and then basically they're interviewing you to do their story, right? That's kind of how it was working.
Sort of, but CNN had a reporter covering the meeting. They had a reporter like texting live during just about every second of every hearing in the courtroom.
Almost like a transcriber in a way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But see, the commission had little to do with it, but the
planning commission made the decision.
Well, it's by our own code. It's just like when the problem we have today, if a development meets what your code is, you can't deny it. If you do deny it, they'll appeal it to the state and they're going to sue you and they're going to win. And not only will they get it, you'll pay for half of the build of it because you're going to have to pay them damages for it. Yeah. So a religious institution in our zoning still today has a precedence. If it's a religious institution, it's going to be approved. Yeah. So there was no way around it. And we had people that, unfortunately, that felt like that we should section out of portions of certain religions and allow them and segregate them basically and say that they can't. And that was the whole premise of the
First Amendment says you have freedom of religion.
Yeah. And
we don't all pray the same
until
way.
it don't meet your standards for some people. And we're in insurance, and that's a big problem with insurance right now is what the legal aspects of what we have found what neglect is. Neglect of the definition of neglect is broadened so badly now that 47% increases we're seeing is just in legal costs for an insurance policy. So your auto policy going down the road today, if you don't have $500,000 limits, you're kind of crazy to have anything under that because the national average for being sued is $442,000. So if you've got a $25,000 state minimum policy, then you're only going to you'll be on the hook for the other $400,000 the rest of your life. And that's all before the biggest industry out there right now is the lawyer industry. Every fourth commercial on there you see in billboards down the road or, hey, call me if you get hit by a truck.
Yeah, and personal injury.
And
Morgan. One day I was riding home with my wife after visiting our oldest son and his wife. I think it was before they gave birth to their daughter. All of a sudden I looked at the billboard for Morgan, and it's the man with gray hair who's usually the one pitching his, we're the biggest, injury attorney law firm in the nation, and size matters. And all of a sudden I look at the billboard, and it's Lady Justice with his face.
That's right. Yeah, and he owns an island in Hawaii, for that reason. But, and it comes back to like that. And then, the Bible Park issue, that was a simple thing that got drawn out for months. And it was two factors: zoning. So you allow the zoning. So it was an agricultural lot for 200 acres. So if we rezone it to commercial to carry that, then they lose their greenbelt and they pay the back taxes at the commercial rate for the previous 2 years. So you got a big check to the county, and we had to raise taxes 3 of our 4 years because we were so far behind schools. We touched or built 14 schools in 4 years. It's never been done as far as being the commission together because of our growth. So
Bible Park today is called Shelton Square, and it's a plan for 771 homes, including
exactly
some
right.
that are going for $1 million.
But that New York firm had zero money. They were going to try to do it on the backs of investors. And they went in from the very get-go with not a dime and hired a marketing firm. And I said, I was for the zoning, not you pay your own way. If you want to do it, just like a developer builds homes, he's got his own money and he borrows it from a bank and he builds his houses. Well, if you want to build that Bible Park, then you fund it. Don't fund it on the backs of the taxpayers. And he wanted that incremental tax relief to help build his park. No, I'll rezone it and we'll get $7 million immediately every year, and you pay it yourself. It was two simple things, and like you said, it divided the commission because you had people that had. I
believe it was a 12-9 vote go on.
Exactly right, where we had one abstain on the whole thing, and he abstained off of it, but 12-9 was against the zoning. So that the rest of it was a dead issue, because if you don't get the zoning, you can't have anything else.
The appeals court took the case. Chancellor Corlew sided with the Shelton family.
That's right.
And you used to have one of your principals as part of the family.
Will.
Yeah, at Blackman Middle, and before that Central Middle.
Yes, sir.
But the Shelton family said you can't do zoning votes that way, and the appeals court sort of had a good news for both sides. The good news for the Shelton family, not total good news, but the good news for the Shelton family is that they the appeals court, state appeals court, said you can't base zoning on like a 2/3 requirement or ever get into a popularity of it's not popular. You have to base it on a majority vote and based on your existing rules and regulations, and then but they said the Shelton family, the county doesn't have to pay attorney fees, but I think the Shelton family did okay because they sold the land for a 771 home subdivision.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit, and we're coming up on a break here pretty soon. Maybe talk about how you're able not to be partisan on a particular issue, even, and I'm trying to think of something that would affect you personally, but how do you keep your objective mentality through, especially through a very high issue subject?
My goal is to be respectful to both sides of an issue, whether it's Islamic Center of Murfreesboro wanting to build a bigger mosque or a newer mosque, or whether it's Bible Park USA and whether it should get built or not and bring a theme park, or even whether or not we should ban books in school libraries or not, but be respectful to both sides. And I want to be like a judge who wants an impartial hearing, and I may not be, all reporters and all of us have our own biases, but I've got to manage those biases and be fair to both sides. I remember going through training in Nashville, excuse me, at the First Amendment Center, and this former TV reporter for NBC, I think it was, I remember him saying, we all have biases, you got to manage those biases, you got to be fair to both sides, and you always have to be willing to rewrite your story after every interview. So someone may say, oh, this is a big deal, but then you interview, lots of people on both sides, and you say, well, it's maybe something to it, but maybe not as big a deal as that original person trying to talk you into a story, thinking it's an injustice. You just got to be fair and thorough, and I try to be like our learned, smart judges. Just run and then let the jury, in my case the readers, let them decide on their own what's right, and just tell a fair story where I'm respectful to both sides.
It's a good way of putting that, because I think that's a problem a lot of people have with trust in things today, is that things may be wrote or said in a certain way that slant your opinion one way, and if you stay middle of the road and show both sides and a conclusion of that, then you're
and don't take the words out of context. Be thorough. Make sure you understand.
Yeah.
I remember quoting Ed Jordan. You remember Ed Jordan?
I do.
Will Jordan's father?
Yeah,
certainly.
He said something to me. Now, he had a thick accent, and I quoted him, and he said, I think it's one of those deals where I thought he said, it almost, like, did he say can't or can? And I remember
that's important.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think the actual quote was that off.
Okay.
I don't think it was, but I understood his point though, because when he talked to me afterward, he said that because he had a thick accent as a dairy farmer, but I agreed with something he said to me, and it struck me that it's more important to understand the position of the source, a county commissioner, or a police detective, or a school board member, or a county commissioner. It's more important to accurately understand the position they take than to grab onto their words, because we all misspeak sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's like paraphrasing. Oftentimes, I need to do that more than direct quotes. Although direct quotes sometimes can be powerful when someone makes a very wise comment, or even a witty comment, or even the wacky comments too. Sometimes can be funny. So
You're right. Hey, you listen to Scott Broden, senior correspondent with the D&J. We're going to take our second break and be right back with you in just a minute.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
The new year is here. Time for change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, and AI with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
First Shot, growing in Christ with life and athletic skills.
So we teach God's Word at everything we do to implant it in them so that they understand that the only way to get through the world is with God on their side.
First Shot founder and executive director Andy Herzer.
Our focus is on our inner city here at Patterson Park.
From academics to athletics, First Shot's focus is toward building a stronger, more courageous spirit to face opportunities and obstacles that our youth confront every day. To find out more about First Shot, go to firstshotTN.org.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee, and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
Insurance should be simple, not complicated. That's why at Rayburn Insurance, Agent Rick Hull cuts through the jargon and helps you understand your options clearly. He's committed to finding the right coverage that fits your unique needs and budget. Their team has been a trusted partner in the community since 1973. Ready to make insurance easy? Get with Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency. He's ready to help you get the protection you deserve.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
And welcome back to the third and final segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's certainly been our pleasure to have senior correspondent for the Daily News Journal, Mr. Scott Broden, with us. Need to be complimented. My daughter texted me a picture of they're watching it on YouTube right now. So I'm not sure how many episodes that she's watched of Rick and I, but she's watching this morning. So
well, I feel like I have a face for radio, so tell her thank you.
I resemble that remark.
They're on YouTube, so they'll see your smile. Brush your teeth.
So when at some point you'll retire, like we all do, what would you like to be remembered for as far as, with your career?
Well, I've been a news reporter. I hope people appreciate the work I did just to let my readers know what's going on. So that, and I saw I saw the guy that does Doonesbury being interviewed by his wife on Sunday morning news show.
With Jane Pauley?
Yeah.
That's Sunday morning?
Yeah. When she started dating him, she didn't even know he was a Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist.
Oh, wow.
And she asked him about the industry and how it's changed so much and shrunk some because of what has happened with more and more people getting their news, through social media or various websites. But she asked him what was he going to do, as things were kind of going. And I remember what he said he's just going to keep doing it, and one day he'll just turn the lights out. And
kind of like Charles Schultz, I guess, with Peanuts. So, and I don't. Hopefully, that doesn't put you on the spot. But where do you get your unbiased news coverage, internationally, nationally? I mean, how do you disseminate what is biased and what's unbiased?
I'm guilty of reading something that's a collection of liberal and conservative viewpoints called Real Clear Politics, and I go there I'm guilty of just looking at it every day, and they have presentations of all kinds of political opinions as well as stories from news organizations that are considered more liberal, like The Guardian or Atlantic or the New York Times, Washington Post. But then they'll have conservative ones like the editorial writers for the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post, and so I kind of find myself reading both the liberal and conservative columnist about the politics and government and the issues and there are certain newspapers rated in the middle, and Wall Street Journal at their news reporting is considered by to be neutral, and I appreciate that. So I think news reporters need to be impartial and respect both sides, present both sides. They may have a personal opinion, but they need to be respectful and present both sides of an issue. Like school board member Stan Vaught has one position about the books, and he feels like let's follow our school librarian's recommendations and allow books to return. Mr. Vaughn had a different take, Butch Vaughn, and he was concerned that some of the books may have words or descriptions he feel like he didn't agree with, and he said no to letting all these books be returned. So, but be respectful to both and present what their positions and what they have to say.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed this morning, and we're complimented that you came on to be with us, since this is your first video presentation. Everything in the past has been print. So
I ranked WGNS ahead of CNN when they asked me to be on the air.
Well, there you go. And but God bless your efforts with covering our county community. I know it's been difficult from time to time.
Well, thank you, Wayne and Rick, for and God bless you both for talking about this community and how important it is to so many people, so many folks.
Congratulations on becoming a grandfather. It's a pretty cool club to join.
Well, I'm glad to join the club. Are you in that club yet?
I am. I do. I've got a 5-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I got a October 17th. What is that, a 3-month-old?
Probably so. Yes,
Paul means a lot to me these days. When I hear it, I drop everything.
Yeah, to figure out what I'm going to be called.
You bet. That's something.
Well, whatever
you try to pick it, but they're going to pick
whatever
it for
your
you.
daughter and
that's fine with me.
Whatever your son and daughter-in-law calls you, that's what the child will call you.
I don't know I like what my son calls me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Hey, thank you everybody for listening to us, and again, thank you, Scott, for being with us today. And hope everybody has a great and safe week. And we'll be back with you next Tuesday. Have a great day.
WGNS, Murfreesboro's